I'm just gonna pick one. And this is, look, that's an awesome one to pick. Look at that. So, hang on, now I want to get a number. I want to get a number here, just to reference this. Oh, Lord, jeez, what is it? Okay, forget the number. Anyway, on part JJ, no, sorry, II of something, page 1824, the release order. World Energy shall ensure that shadow flicker does not exceed 30 minutes per day or 30 hours per year at a residence. That's it.
So who's gonna police that one?
Now, can I just have a quick show of hands? Anybody, could you raise your hand if you understand what shadow flicker is? Or if you don't understand what shadow flicker is. Okay. Shadow flicker is the effect of the setting sun coming through the blades of rotating equipment. We're not going to have to worry about it so much yet for sunrise because we don't have anything to the east. But great time to throw it in for anybody who didn't know. Parcel 2 of every proposal is to go from Swan Island right down through Maxim's camps all the way down to Pine Camps, including the Ford Island and Black Island out in Notre Dame Bay. So not only are they going to, and they've already got that land approved. The entire side, the other side of the bay has been approved for industrial wind turbines. Just drop that one in there. They won't tell you that, but I've got it. It's right there. Irrefutable. So they're going to say,
you got to do something more than this.
but that's look,
like-
26 experts with the provincial government are responding to this $10 billion proposal, and with the entire issue of shadow flicker, we shall ensure. Boy, I feel good. I feel good now. Bernard Davis got me back. I'm good to go. Right? Like, this thing will drive you nuts.
Yes.
Just the visual. Right? Just that, like, if you've ever been on the island and watched the sunset, you'll never be able to look to the west and see a sunset without every direction, no matter which way the wind's blowing. Because you got 530 of these, and you're going to see 300 of them going on.
Well, you just think when you're driving up the road,
Best
and
example.
you have the trees right now,
The
with
best
the
example.
sun coming through,
Yeah.
that's flickering. I'm here
That's
like
shadow
this
flicker.
with my hand up against my window because that's bothering
You
me.
can't think, you can't draw.
So you can imagine what that's gonna do.
Perfect. Perfect. That's shadow flicker.
Yes.
In addition to the shadow, so there are lights on all these turbines around the shadow? No, like.
Oh, yes, there are lights on all every turbine.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 on Northern Armills. Transport Canada will ensure that there's lights on. I'm not sure what the ceiling is. I think it's less than 100 feet or something, 120 feet or something, 30 or 40 meters that they got to get identified. But oh yeah,
Did they mention in this EA if they're going to be plowing all these roads?
no, they'll have us. No, they'll be on standby. Right? They won't go to these towers. There won't be anybody touching these things. It'll be automatic. There won't be no one going up there if this is in
So there'll be
theory.
no plowing of roads.
But they'll have flyers up there, snow blowers, and they'll go up to and that'll be set up. If they need to get up there,
Get
they'll.
in there.
Yeah, they'll get 20 tractor trailers in there in a matter of 5 hours. It needs it. Think of the redundancy of these towers. It's 530. So if one goes down, not a big panic. We'll get that one next week, right? You know, it's like operationally they have a lot of components that they can
And
utilize.
the operations of these are what, out of a facility in Baldwin?
Oh, probably, maybe, but not necessarily.
Could be
When I
used
designed one in for Suncor, electric heat trace system for Suncor that we were running in Calgary in the office just to show them we could do it, but they wouldn't let us come through the firewall anymore. It was too insecure, so Suncor as a company
So
made a
all
global decision, no
Jobs
exterior.
that will come about, these jobs are probably just gonna be temporary, few people coming in and do what they gotta do, a couple thousand for a couple of years.
There'll be
But
oil
the part
change,
that-
there'll be oil changes required, there'll be filter changes required. These got big variable frequency drives and big heat sinks and stuff that have to be cleaned and maintained on a regular
Up at
basis.
the top
So
of the-
there will be
top of
work.
it.
Probably, I'd say provincially, you might create an industry where there's maybe 400 or 500 technicians based on the 3,300 turbines that we're planning. Right, how many people looks after the X-ray machines? Not very many yet. Right?
And the elevator.
You know, elevators, Otis, these are the type of things, and pressure vessel, the things that are licensed, right? That you think that there's a great, that our government is doing a great job of protecting the public. Well, they don't even do inspections on elevators anymore. go and look at the elevator now. He used to always have a yearly inspection.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they never do anymore.
Do you think that,
They really don't care.
do you think the town of Botwood and the town of Northern Ireland, the surrounding towns, is gonna prosper by this?
No, I think we're the industrial wasteland. Grand Falls will prosper. Grand Falls will prosper. St. John's will prosper, management a little bit there.
It's very interesting, cause I had a guy walk up to me, I rent a few houses. And a guy walked up to me and he said, Sean, you got any place to rent for a couple of months? I said, no. I said, what are you looking for a place for? Oh, he said, I'm planning on getting a job at Everett. I said, yeah, that's great. But he said, I said, lots of places around town, around Botwood, Northern Ireland, where I said, to buy a house. No, I said, I'm not living here. I said, where are you gonna live? He said, I'm gonna live in Gander. He said, or Gander Bay, somewhere like that. He said, I'm not living nowhere near this. So that's a guy that's coming here to work. So it goes to, tell you that I think those little towns are probably going to slowly die
There's a
out.
witness not faced there.
And
None of them want to stay here, and the ones that do stay here, well, they're dealing with issues now that they'll still be dealing with it. There's gonna be, one thing that's not even discussed, okay, and that I'd like to throw out there for your thought, because if you look at history of mega projects, and Newfoundland got a little bit of history with Bull Arm and Marystown, okay, a little bit of history, not much, it's not really mega. But I like to use the example of Fort McMurray, because Fort McMurray was a boom town with billions of dollars like no one's ever seen, and no control and no legislation. And I lived it. And when you put 10,000 men with unlimited earnings, and you put them off a bus on Thursday afternoon,
Yeah, right.
I tell you, she lights up.
Booze.
And nobody's talking about this. We don't even have RCMP. 2,000 men up the woods. We already got a drug problem. We already got mental health issues. Right? No.
But it'd be good for the ladies that are looking.
Okay, Lisa, don't go running out.
They're just as critical as your issue of healthcare, okay? Or the lack of healthcare. These are the issues that we're gonna be facing, and for the town to say that, oh, well, we'll wait for the environmental assessment to go through before we worry about that. Because, that's their position. That's the people who are protecting us and represent us. That's their position. Let's just let this whole thing go through, and then we'll have a conversation how this stuff will go. Right? I can read out to you. There's 60 conditions. Okay? And just one second, Jeff. There's 60 conditions here, okay? This is what I'm going through here. And so, as to anyone who's not 100% clear right now as to what our provincial government departments are putting forward to us. At the request of the Minister, World Energy shall develop a noise monitoring and mitigation plan. I'm not going to finish this. So if the Minister decides there are enough people who complain and there's a noise issue, then we'll get World Energy to develop a plan. No, noise monitoring and then mitigation. Yeah. First to be a noise monitoring, then mitigation plan for the Minister's approval, and shall monitor noise in accordance with Health Canada's guidelines. Okay, so I hope that makes it clear. There's one other point. I'm not going to try to find it here. I should have had a tab on it because it's really one other thing I want to take from this document. Okay, so our Department of Environment put a clause in one of those 62 clauses that states the company shall pay for all costs as required by the government representative, the one for the entire $12 billion GH2 project. The company will pay the wages and cost of operating, so any tests that he deems required, any quality control issue, any occupational health and safety issue, any noise complaint, any water complaint, anything that the public got with the project, any issue, they guaranteed, they put in writing that they would make the company pay for that. That one person who's going to protect us all from everything that's happening there. is a sarcasm lost on them. There's one person. They think that they can delegate all the enforcement of these 62 conditions that haven't even been created. But they're going to put one person in the role that they're going to make sure that the company develops that sound noise mitigation plan. They're going to make sure that there's no rivers that were impacted. They're going to make sure that every environmental rule was followed. One person. So that's where we're going. That's the slot they want us to slide into by Christmas. If we don't complain, by Christmas this will be approved, done deal, ready to go to investors for 2025. Now, that's where we're to right now.
In other words, there is none.
So how do we stop it? Do we go to our towns?
I'm done with
our
town about
towns?
I'm done with town about I'm not going back there again to on this issue because they have zero respect.
But there's 7 of them and they all can't be stupid.
None of them are stupid. None of them are stupid. And most of them got the best interest in art and actually believe that this is going to be the salvation of our town. Scott Seaver's been my friend my entire life. I played hockey with him and I had a hard conversation with him on 2 occasions about this before I ever came to town. And I don't question his intentions, but I do question the information that he's been fed.
There isn't ill informed.
What?
They're ill informed.
Yes.
And you know something, by this meeting tonight, I see one counselor here. Of all these towns, I see one counselor here.
Town of North America.
What the hell is that telling you?
Peter did done a survey, so let's just throw that out there. They've done that survey and the results haven't been announced yet, but
Yeah.
we stood up there in the corner. We were there, right? We watched everybody go in there because there's only one way access there. And yeah, regardless of what information they let, we know where Peter these things. This is what needs to happen. Where do we go? We need people. We need to draw from this group. Robert's done it. These guys here have done it in Point Livingston. They've already canvassed. What would you say your percentage of the residents are now that you've hit?
75.
There you go. There's the park. That's what we need to do. Water Street. Anybody want to take a petition and go, and not this provincial, but I want to develop, I want to see if there's any point in going forward with this, or am I just going to continue to beat my head against the wall?
I just got 3 pages of the petitions for Linda Kitchen, like,
Yes,
it's not going anywhere.
No. So what I want so this is my plan, okay? So we've got 30 days left. What I want to do is I want to get, especially Water Street Botway. I'm looking at you. I think Judy's going to be back soon. Judy, do you know Leanne? Judy Carter? She's going to be back soon? Or? I'm not sure. We need volunteers, right? We need people. And we need people on Water Street to speak out. And I know that there are people there. I've spoke to, I'm going to say, 6 residents that I know personally now on Water Street who are pissed, but I mean, they haven't attended any of these meetings. They know they're at it. You know, there's incredible pressure. You know, this is like other government planned events that have occurred recently that depend on pressure to keep us down. Right? They don't want us speaking, they don't want us organizing, they don't want us having information. They want us to know exactly what the company is saying. And this has been manipulated and strategized to the nth degree, and they paid millions of dollars for what they're trying to feed us.
So what do you want these people in Water Street to do?
We need a canvas, we need a poll, we need everybody along Water Street, along the proposed route, to say, first of all, do you know that they're planning on doing this? Have you been contacted about it? And what's your feelings?
And how much the property tax, the property value is going to go down if they got a big giant pipeline carrying
Mine went
toxic waste with bio.
What?
Mine went up.
Yeah, this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not there yet.
No, but still.
They're going to be put up
Your taxes
fence
went up
too,
with the
but-
property value.
What?
Resale value.
But yeah, it's tough.
Okay, so
I
most
often
of
get
them,
designs on that system, I
So
think,
there's lots of
there's
you.
lots of ways to do this has been done before, they won't pick either one.
most of what you're saying has already been done. Okay, what's the next step?
The next step is to find out
All this talking is-
Alright, am I finished? The next step is to see if anybody wants to get their boots dirty and get the boots on the ground and go talk to the people of Water Street, we'll talk, but this has to happen now. You know, I'm gonna tell you, 7 days ago, the last thing I thought I was gonna face this year is an environmental assessment.
Most of the people on Water Street is aware of all it is. The ones, some half of them says it's not gonna make a difference anyways.
That's the
Okay,
attitude.
so what's the next step? After you get all the people on Water Street, what do you want them to do?
Okay, the
You
only,
want them
the
all to
only,
go down to City Hall and picket?
I have an idea for gathering at the gazebo. Let's go down to the gazebo
I don't know
and
if
put a
anybody
couple
wants
of
to go
hundred people
there.
down there.
Buddy killed himself there.
Yeah, I know, but unfortunately, you know, we had to make room for another travesty.
Well, this week, there's election in Northern.
By-election.
2 people running, 1 for, 1 against. Right? That'll tell you what the people in Northern Ireland thinks about it.
But the one who's for is not saying he's for.
Yeah, he's
You sit on the fence, right?
No.
And that's the thing. I don't know the answer to your
It's a
question.
special day, is it? And you want them to all graduate, do what? Sit around and freeze their hands or do what we're doing now? We have to do something. No, why? There's too much talking, no actions. Nothing's
The
getting
only
done.
action that will be impactful, okay, so we've got, to understand the problem we're facing, the easiest way I can put it is this. On the Everett proposal, there's 47 stakeholders who they consider stakeholders to the project. These people include the town of Botwood, the town of Northern Ireland, all the communities,
Yeah.
snowmobile federations. Have you seen that document?
I've seen that.
Right? Okay, yeah,
I've
so,
seen it, but-
so they are catering to those people, right? So if you're a stakeholder, they want that list to say all letters of support. Of the 47, there was 19 letters of support. Okay, and the others had, no comments. Some of these are like the RCMP, fire department, all these people that we're talking, the hospitals, your department of health, all these, RCMP said, you know, well, we'll take a look at it once. They're all taking the opinion. well,
Okay,
let's
so
get
that's
lessons
better,
learned.
Eddie. You want to get some associations behind.
Well, this
here.
is where I'm coming to.
Oh,
So,
okay.
the Newbie Cabin Owners Association is a stakeholder. They have, as a group, they have serious concerns about this, right? When I mentioned the name New Bay Cabin Owners Association to the Botwood Town Council, they were like, it was shut out, no, we don't want to, they didn't even want to have any conversation, didn't want to be even mentioned because they know the power. And the power is this, they have the power of the people there, and they want their support. So now, I've asked for meetings, the town of Botwood asked for meetings for cabinet, everyone has tried to meet their MHAs or talk to their MHAs and all this, right? Okay. Lo and behold, the New Bay Cabin Owners Association gets Chief Executive Officer, Dean Command, that's gonna come and talk to them about their concerns with the project. The provincial government has committed to sending people, right? Like, all of a sudden, that happened. Why did that happen? And this occurred right after, and someone mentioned about Parsons, Minister Andrew Parsons there, right? You don't retire at the pinnacle, halfway through the pinnacle of your crowning achievement and leave, right? So there's issues going on behind the scenes with the whole
Yes.
process.
Does he
I
have a
hope it's
job?
gonna fall apart. No, but you can't do that. If he was gonna do that, then he's gotta show how he was so successful in doing this. You can't go halfway through, that's like leaving the game in the middle of the second period.
Right.
You can't say you're Stanley Cup champion, the game's not over yet. Right? He's got nothing on his resume to brag about. And I'll make sure that's never forgotten. I guarantee it. But I'm really,
But you know.
we're gonna have a fantastic conversation where people are gonna be held to account if they show up. If Rodney Mercer, the Premier's assistant, Grand Falls, shows up, then it's not gonna be that productive. If I can get Andrew Parsons in front of me, Dean Command in one room, they broke the law.
Why do you think they're getting
They-
the meeting?
Because they want these guys on board. They're ground zero. Right? Town of Botwood don't want nothing to do with it, everyone, they're painting a picture, this rosy picture that everything is great, right?
Well, I can
But-
tell you one thing, the New Bay Lake Cabin Association, which I am the secretary right now, newly elected, do not want the turbines in, get up and talk a little bit if you got a minute.
Sure,
So,
go right ahead.
um,
I'll just introduce here, if anybody doesn't know, this is Bernice Case, she's from Grand Falls, she's a cabin owner, it's not on New Bay, but it's up in beyond New Bay, what's the name of the pond?
We're on 10 Mile Path.
10 Mile Path.
So November 2023, I am a part of the Facebook page for the New Lake Cabin Association. We were talking about road fees and all this kind of stuff. Somebody had posted there, oh, do you realize what's coming to Central, to Exploit, to New Bay? I said, oh my God, no. And I immediately booked an appointment with Chris Tibbs. That was a year ago. And said, Chris, do you know anything about this? What's going on? I've never heard a peep about it. If I had not seen it on the Facebook page for New Bay Lake Cabin Association, I would be in the blind. Anyway, he didn't really say, no, I didn't, I heard about it, but never knew much about it. And that was a year ago. So myself and Ed actually seen him again last week, but it was talk about, not part of the New Bay Lake Cabin Association, but it was just a personal meeting with them, because I had met with him personally then. So, but there's nobody that I'm aware of that's on the New Bay Lake Cabin Association, that's a cabin owner or a landowner, is agreeable with this. Nobody that I know of personally is in, like saying, oh, they're not worried about them coming in the area. The entire New Bay Lake area will be destroyed. If you're looking at the map, you just showed me the map tonight, we are in my cabin is in their little map area. So it's just going to be wiped off the map. I'll have a cabin, because all I'll be doing is surrounded by wind turbines.
Yes.
500 meters.
There's a councillor
From our
from
cabin.
Northern Ireland that has a cabin up there.
Probably. Now, I don't know all the cabin.
He's one of the
He's
guys
one of the
that pushed
supporters.
Okay,
But
maybe
he's
so.
there.
And
So which guy is that in there?
Yes, but a few
Who's that?
cans are up for
Fred
sale
Butler,
too.
they'll never sell them. Well, they sold so many lots
There's a
2
little
years
house called
ago,
in the
they
city,
paid $25,000 for a lot of land.
land.
80 lots up there,
I'm
they
in
never
the
told me
25
nothing,
years,
they
I don't
just
know
come
anything.
in.
so before I became
No one's gonna buy
before I became secretary, which was just about a month ago, I voluntarily asked to be, I assume that the New Bay Lake Cabin Association has been in contact with Everett to talk about the issues in the area and asked them questions. And the New Bay Lake Cabin Association actually sent a letter to the government, to Fury, to Parsons, talking about, look, there's 150 cabin owners out there. We've been up there for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Some people have been, some people just bought property, right? The government sold 60 lots on the lake in 2022, right? And I'm pretty sure they knew in 2021 what was going on, right? And sold all these lots. And I mean, looking across the news, you can see the turbines, you're not gonna see any forest. So that impacts, I mean, yes, only 150 people in that entire area, but it's not, to me, it's not, okay, my value of my property that I spent 10 years building up and all of this, but it's the trees, the forest, the animals, it's just gonna be a wasteland.
How is it green?
It's not green, it's terrible. That's just a little part of it. I mean, you think about Bobber, Northern Ireland, all these people that are gonna be impacted, and I can't even imagine even living there when these plants, and the scope of this, even a little bit that I've read, is beyond me, beyond
People have no idea.
Right.
what's coming. They have no idea.
And, but I really believe the Newfoundland government is blindsided all the Newfoundlanders, and I believe that it's oh, they're only a small little area. This is not. How can they all come together and attack us?
And they vote peacefully,
Now,
correct.
I have been a part of Protect NL since Brenda Lee Kitchen, and I've been down here in Baldwin on the highway with my signs on the Trans-Canada Highway. I live in Grand Falls, Windsor, but I say probably 1% of all of Grand Falls, Windsor knows what's going on up in New Bay, or in Baldwin, or in Northern Ireland, or anywhere else, and putting limited. Very, 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 very few when you think about 15,000 people that live in Grand Falls, Windsor. Nobody. I mean, a lot of people say, well, lots of people I've talked to says, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I ran into that. I don't even know what you're
I
talking
haven't
about.
seen
$10 billion
it, but
budget.
I did months months
Right,
ago.
so
but not
it's
lately.
really hard when you only got a few 150 cabin owners and probably, I don't know, say half of them live, are Grand Falls Windsor residents, say for example. I don't know where everybody, I don't know, maybe only 5 cabin owners, but I don't know where they live. But say they live in Grand Falls Windsor. So really hard when you only got 5 people, that are really good, 50 people are gonna be superly affected by it. As a town who's gonna benefit from it, probably, you know, for job, be supporting. So it's a struggle, it's a really big struggle. But I really believe the New Bay Lake Cabin Association are fighting for us. They really are. They are really working hard to, and putting the point across and trying to protect the cabin owners and trying to fight for us, right?
Does
And
anybody here write letters to anybody else?
Oh, yeah.
I wrote letters at the beginning.
No, no, it's not.
No.
Anybody get in there
But
sign?
we did, because there's 2 extra trailers going to work every week.
I don't see how it could be formed any better.
So,
And he sent that off and 0 response.
No, I said, I
That's the
emailed
story,
everybody. I didn't-
everybody's
Zero.
story.
The only response I actually got was that I received your email, and that was from Christine.
so,
Everybody else didn't.
Can I contacted the Atlantic Salmon Federation, right?
yeah,
I don't think you know Don, he's been the director for Newfoundland for
Yeah.
many years.
name's
I
familiar.
had a lot of contact with him through my writing over the years. But anyway, Don retired this summer, unfortunately. But he did give me a response. I said, why are you guys being so silent on this? I said, there's 4 or 5 licensed rivers right in this watershed, you know? And we're all concerned about the salmon, you know? And not a word said about it. I said, why are you being so silent? He said, well, right now our attention is on the aquaculture projects on the south coast, right? And that's our focus in our campaign right now. Right? But I'm pretty blunt when it comes to these things. I said, Don, is it because you get money from the government? That's, you know, I mean, there's a lot of money goes in the Atlantic Salmon Federation from the government, right? And he didn't really comment on, didn't really respond with regards to that, right? He said, we are going to speak about it. But I mean,
It's too late.
it's going to be,
The towns,
but they do care, they're a loud voice, right? They're
yeah,
very
oh,
influential.
absolutely, and there are groups that are in that
Where is
group.
tourism?
Out in Buren,
Yeah,
they're on the stakeholders list and they're in support.
but where are the tourism?
They're all the snowmobile, the trail net, the whole, everybody that could possibly be considered a stakeholder by Strum, who Strum can identify as a stakeholder to Everett, has been contacted, and every one of them with the exception of 3, there are 2 lodges that have issues, that's what's stated in this proposal that's in front of us now, they have issues, and then there's the Cabin Association. So, through the Cabin Association, to answer your question again, I think we can have, it's our last chance at a meaningful impact, a direct voice avenue into cabinet to hear us. Because someone, like the people between the government and the councils and the public, someone got to get critical mass, and we got to gain traction. People got to understand what's happening. And the company, the government, the town council, and the provincial government is putting it all on the companies. So we're getting only what they want us to see and nothing else. So all we can do is find the 1 rules and then hold them to it. So now, if I get a chance, and if it don't work here, I've got a few more ideas between now and November 11th. Just to make sure everyone understands where we are right now. The environmental assessment process for Everett started 7 days ago. It's for 35 days. It runs to November the 11th for public comments. After that, the minister has 30 days to make a decision. After that, we have 30 days to reply to that decision and appeal. And after that, they make 30 more days. So what was that, 120 days? So, happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
They're going to run through the holidays and steamroll this. At the same time, as Everett's proposal, Pattern Energy and Argentia has already got one in, and Buren Peninsula with 1,500 turbines, 3 times the size of ours, is also in. So the 26 experts that the provincial government got are going to be reviewing all these between now and Valentine's Day.
I'm guessing there's no requirement for any of these projects to prove market for their product.
None. That's a federal issue. Patty Daly loves this one. If you're familiar with Patty Daly, you listen to go back on his shows. He is our biggest supporter, and you might not think it, but he is our biggest supporter. But of course, he's a radio personality, and he's got to have play both sides of the audience so that the government will still talk to him and respect him. Understood that. But he puts out zingers every time he speaks. He puts forth the facts. And the federal government has dropped the ball completely. They won't even create definitions to say what green energy is. So how can you talk to me about green energy when our government can't even define it? Right?
I guess nobody's done the math on how much greenhouse gases would have been absorbed by forests that they're going to flatten.
Did you look at the offsets to the environmental piece of Everett's proposal? Their carbon offset process, Robert,
I'm going to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that there's 50% of that went so far over my head I wouldn't see it from the top of the
Exactly,
turbine.
by design. But they do exactly that. They drill into the carbon offsets, how the project is going to, they try to make this case. They couldn't even get their mother to believe it. There's no way. So it doesn't, if you can even understand it, you're not going to believe it. The little bits and pieces in that I put together, managed to put together, don't even add up. You know, it's like they're trying to tell you 2 + 2 is 5. No, don't think so.
Well, everything that's written in the Strong report, it's not all true. Because if you go, like, there's a little page there that says towns, you know, and it says, I know that the town of Northern Ireland says bi-weekly meetings
with Everett.
with Everett, which is not
And
true.
about what economic, oh yes.
And also, it says, no concerns raised, but that's totally wrong because we have sent letters to 5 ministers and let them know that that we don't want no windmills, no turbines inside of town boundaries, and we've been fighting this battle for a year or 2 now, and I think we just got a note back saying that they were going to take them out of our town boundaries, but Strong, wrote it in, that we're all in favor, no concerns, which is totally wrong. So how many more towns is, that brought up concerns that's not in this report?
A Peterview councillor in the, okay, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm getting all kinds of information here, which is great because I don't know a whole lot about it, but I want to do something about it. So like this lady said, like, what can we do about it? Maybe to change like the stakeholders' minds. So like the town council of Batwood, the town council of Northern. From what I'm hearing, your last ditch effort is with the Cabin Association to try and get in front of some politicians.
Government is, they held the powers of the
Yeah, exactly. So like, but what can we do? Or is there anything that we can do aside from just sending emails?
Yes.
Because people can ignore emails, we all know that. So like, what can we do that would make a difference?
Are you a resident of Baldwin?
Yes.
So,
Send a letter.
as all the resident people of Baldwin who are against this, have they actually had a private meeting with the town? Like, as a town help? Just yourself though, or did you have a crowd?
You only allowed 3.
What?
Town council, yes, mine, now you're 3 people, that's all it's allowed to attend, you're not allowed to record and take pictures.
There's something that
Oh,
everyone can do,
Oh my God.
and it's very efficient. Is write out a letter, send it to your town council, and ask it to be read out in council.
Right.
Okay, and you always put on the bottom, awaiting your reply. That way, then they got to respond to your letter. That's a very powerful message. Any council, it doesn't matter where you to, that when you do out letters from any resident, if there's 10 come in, that's a big concern for any council. If there's 10 people, so if there's 10 that sends letters in that wants this done, and then show up at your town council meeting. And let them know, saying, listen, we've got concerns. Who's going to answer our concerns? So that's the most powerful thing that you can do.
They can't stop you.
But it's
But lock the doors, okay, just
You're
wait
not
a minute.
allowed to lock the door.
Oh my God, I can guarantee you 100% they will absolutely lock the doors.
Will you stand
Pete,
so that
do
the
they lock the
door
doors?
don't let them in
They
because
take
they
your cell
can't.
phones, they take your cell phones and put it out in the cubby. Oh, yes.
Leaves them outside, yeah.
Are you
And
serious?
you
Leaves them
don't.
Been there,
outside the
done
room.
that, 100%.
But the public owns
Oh,
it.
you can't,
The public
they
owns
can't
it.
do that.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
They
That's
cannot
public
do
building.
that. Why didn't you phone the RCMP? They
It's a
took your
public
property.
meeting.
You gave it willingly, don't you?
Yes.
Listen,
And you have to go to that public
You
meeting,
can't
and
lock
they
the
can't,
buildings.
and they can't provide the space, they have to move the meeting.
Yeah.
please note, public recording not permitted.
Yeah. But
So they made the rules.
But that's not.
Well, according to municipal affairs, like, I don't see how anyone can run, like, I asked Jim Seeger if he'd go in front of a
If
camera.
that's the case, municipal affairs lawyers, even Penny, is lying. Because he said you can't, legally can't record a public meeting.
Yeah.
They
Got
have
that
it
in
in the
writing.
minutes in Northern Ireland.
You can't.
You can't.
You can't record a public meeting.
Yes, sir.
I should be able to record anything that anywhere I am.
Anything public.
In a public meeting,
Where's
you're
that
right.
now you're
Yeah,
taking?
that's why they call it off camera.
Why are they locking
called
Like,
doors
it
if it's a
makes no
public
sense.
meeting?
You're creating your own rules.
Why are they locking doors if it's a public meeting? A public meeting is.
They
for
lock the doors
public
at 7
forum.
o'clock, you come in, it's not a public meeting, that's a fallacy, the public can apply to attend, it's not a public meeting.
Yeah.
They lock the doors, and then they usher you out, Tracy's been there, Guy's been there, we've done this. And they lock you out, and Mr. Mayor, come
Why
over, I said,
didn't
Jim,
you
what?
go?
I said, I'll see you again soon now.
Why didn't you go? Why didn't you just sit down and refuse to move?
Because we-
They
Our
can't
time
move.
was up.
They're not allowed to talk.
Our time was up.
We-
You have not got a time, it's a public
But that's what
meeting.
they told us.
You have a certain amount of time
Right.
to speak, but after
Is there
that.
sandbox?
Okay, that's to speak.
They didn't even acknowledge anything that we said. They
There's
didn't.
no one is allowed to attend council meetings. No one is allowed to understand what the expenditures that are approved every month are. There is no reporting.
Yes, sir,
Well,
it's fine, public meeting.
Ask for a written.
Really? Because if you can find anywhere that lists the monthly expenditures for town of Newfoundland and anything other than, for any town in Newfoundland, other than 78,604 or 136, they do not release any of their line items.
They do a yearly.
Well, when
To
they,
municipal affairs, that's not visible to the public.
when the council says no, anytime like that, you always ask for, I'll have that in writing, please. You don't go by word of mouth.
Yeah.
Just, I'd say,
No, I
give it to me in
showed up.
writing.
I knew what the rules were before I showed up.
Unless,
Yeah.
unless they're on.
Yeah, but that's
That's not municipal, that's not
Yeah, but obviously, the town of Lewisport can conducts their fairs on camera in every meeting.
Right, so continue.
And
So-
my understanding is that there needs
You
to
couldn't even change the subject, Dave.
What?
Say you couldn't even change the subject.
Oh, no, well, I was bullied by the deputy mayor for wanting to mention the New Bay Cabinet Association.
Election is
Yes,
coming
not
up.
talking
we're
with him.
speaking, we're not talking about speaking at a
It's
public.
my
No, we don't have
understanding, with a municipality, like within the town limits, they can set a meeting and they can make votes, and if they want to choose to change certain regulations within that town, they can.
Yes.
Yeah,
But-
but
they
they gotta
choose-
use it public. They can't take it
But
from
just
you.
remember one thing. One thing is very important. Everybody forgets. Next year, they all got to be elected in. So if you want to show a disfaction or what's going on, then you don't let them back next year. And if you got enough people saying, you know what, enough is enough, and all those crazy rules like is being made here, then change the council.
We
Because
must not-
the
that's where
people
we
got
stop.
the power. No, one person have got no power, but the people got the power, and they can change it if they so.
2026, I don't wanna make this political, but 2026 is Everett's decision to proceed. So they're spending money now on front-end engineering to develop a plan, but the big bucks kick in 26. 26 is when they're gonna place orders for their billion-dollar reactors and all this stuff, and the massive pipe and all the stuff they need. So we've got a year. So right now, this environmental assessment is a very important piece of it, because I think we can get it thrown out right now because they've already broken rules. But at least get it documented. This is gonna have, the only way, like this is gonna head into injunctions, right? Supreme Court case, for suffering, like there's a lot of avenues that we can do. But the most effective thing we can do is to demand a plebiscite across the province. For the people in Newfoundland to rise up and say, we want to vote on wind energy because no one ever did. Not one election, never been on a ballot, not once. No town,
They need
no
to
city.
be informed before they vote.
Well, this is the first thing, they have to have a budget, so the government has to give us money so that we can put together an information campaign, that people can learn about it and not blindly agree to something.
Have you got to be from the town to send a letter to that town?
No. But they won't pay no attention to it anyway, just saying.
I have a question about the sending in your comments about the EA. Once that is emailed to that email address,
Yeah.
I assume you put your name, your phone number, your address, or whatever on it, I don't know, some sort of form that you put in your.
There's no form, you just write a letter or have yours, that's all.
So when you send that in, how do you know that that's actually been read?
There will be a
You can ask for a
spreadsheet.
receipt,
Yes.
Right?
Do it in an email and request a read receipt, make sure that they open it.
Yeah.
Do that. But it will be listed in a spreadsheet.
To the, like, how do you know it's the right
Yeah, how do you
person
do
that's
that?
reading? Like, you send it.
You'll
to
get a
them.
response.
Oh, you won't.
Oh, you can, oh, you don't, there's an email.
The one for
They
sent a response.
The response to that EA. I got a copy, I can give you a picture of that sheet that shows you, right? But.
Thanks, folks.
In that regard, so, but I guess my concern is, once I submit my comments back to the email address that you're supposed to submit it to, how do I know they've actually even read it? Is that 26 expert panels?
One department will look at the
We'll go
public,
through all those.
public
emails.
communication, they'll put it into a spreadsheet, and they'll say there was 521 submissions received by the Everett proposal. There was 27 or 2,700 or 27,000 phone
And in
calls
that-
to
and
the
in-
minister's office, I think it's 27,000.
So in that response back to them, it's in response to the report that they put out, the environmental assessment, the appendix A that I just printed out 116 pages of.
That's the companies, that can then go to government, that's the company's proposal.
Okay, so we are responding to this document
Yep.
that Everett put out
Yep.
for our
What's your concern?
116 pages to read through.
Yep.
Our questions, all our
Your
questions.
concerns.
and
Not
concerns.
questions, say questions, they won't get answered, only your concerns.
Only our concern. All right, I'm
Nobody's gonna answer a
concerned
question.
that turbine's gonna be 500 meters from my residence, where
So
I have to live.
that- For these submissions, they have to be heartfelt and genuine and factual, okay? But as far as the biggest impact we can have right now, if everyone here tomorrow called, and it's on my Facebook, but it's only, you can do a search, called Lisa Dempster's office, the minister's number, everybody called tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, 25 calls a day, boy, I tell you, she's gonna say, what's going on in Central? Because right now, she's not gonna find out, even if it's on the news, because CBC's not covering, NTV, just, nobody even knows it's on the news.
Now, on the morning show, they had the little skit there, they put off there, the girl and the two fellas, you know, on,
What's this, Ozfam?
Ozfam, yeah.
Okay.
They're for it. They said, well, create jobs, we need jobs, let's go for it.
Sure.
Yeah, they didn't even say John's.
No, they're getting paid by, just look at
Yeah.
your advertising.